Hello, I'm Callum.
And I'm Gracie.
And welcome to the Dead Sibling Society.
We're going to be speaking all about the lows and the highs
of the people we love dying.
Callum lost his older brother when he was just 12.
And Gracie lost her sister last year.
We don't think we speak about death, dying and grief anywhere near enough.
So we're going to start talking about it. There's going to be a lot of sadness probably, but hopefully some happy moments too.
Yeah. Should we get on with it?
Yeah, let's do it.
So, Callum, I would love to hear about your brother. If you want to tell me a little bit sort of about what he was like as a brother and what growing up with Liam was like.
Well, Liam was absolutely the best brother ever. I can say this hand on heart, he was amazing. Yes, we argued like a little bit.
As brothers do.
But I was a right little stroppy.
Bet you were.
Are we allowed to swear on this podcast?
Yeah, probably.
But anyway, I was a stroppy young person. and I was awful, and I look back and I know I was like, if the attention, this was before Liam was diagnosed with cancer, but I would rip things up. If the attention wasn't me, it was his birthday one year, and I was so angry it was his birthday that I'd like slam doors and I'd be like a right mare. I was probably the most annoying child to be with, but Liam would just be calm. He would just look at me like, what on earth are you doing? Sometimes he would take the blame for things that I had done, but he was a brilliant brother, and I guess everything then changed.
So what was that like? You were so young when Liam was diagnosed. What do you remember of that time? Do you think it sunk in? Do you think you understood it?
I guess I didn't understand it, but I do remember a lot. Like, I think sometimes we underestimate how much young people understand. Yeah. So I definitely didn't understand it as much as I would understand it now, but I got that he was ill. I understood that, and I people listening that are of age old enough, it was around about the time when London found out that they were getting the Olympic Games.
Oh, yeah.
In 2005. And Liam had actually fallen off a trampoline. He had developed this like little limp, so Dad just took him to the GP just to get him checked. And then the GP found a lump. He went to the hospital that day, and within a day, I'm pretty sure it was super quick, it was so speedy, we were sitting down watching The Simpsons, I remember it clearly, and the phone rang, and my mum or my dad went into the kitchen, answered the phone, and then ushered in the other parent into the kitchen, which felt a bit odd, but we were just watching The Simpsons. And 5 or 10 minutes later, the kind of muffled sounds of them speaking on the phone ended, and they came in and they explained to us that Liam had cancer, and he had cancer in his leg, and that his treatment would be starting really, really soon. I think it was, I'm sure that the moment from the falling off the trampoline to him starting treatment was within days. Wow. It was super quick, but we did get to watch another episode of The Simpsons because it was back to back.
What matters.
So in that moment, Liam getting cancer was brilliant because I got to watch another Simpsons episode. But that, when I look back, was such a turning point. And actually, that was the moment that I was no longer a child anymore. Yeah. And Liam was no longer a child anymore. I guess it feels selfish to say I wasn't, but this is all about us, isn't it?
Of course it is.
That
was almost like the end of your innocence then, I suppose, wasn't it?
Absolutely. And then for a year or so onwards, it was going into the hospital all the time. Liam was in consistently. It was every weekend there I would be in Addenbrooke's in Cambridge. It was getting teachers who would look after me after school, or would drive me to the hospital in the evenings. Wow. It was my aunts coming down and taking care of me. It was me going to my friends in the evening. There was obviously, and with no annoyance at all, so much attention put to Liam that my life became very different. I had different people looking after me all the time. My parents were brilliant, but they were with Liam, and Liam was being treated, and that kind of felt the norm for quite a while. And the cancer if any doctors are listening to this, they're going to go, this isn't how it works. But the cancer kind of went away, like it just went off.
Yeah,
It went.
yeah.
No,
I get it.
he was treated, and then they discovered that cancer had spread from his leg. It was a synovial sarcoma to his lungs, and then eventually Liam was told that his cancer was terminal. An 11, 12-year-old boy being told, you have weeks left to live, maybe months at best. Wow. And I'm sure I was told that Liam's cancer was terminal. I definitely didn't know what it meant.
Yeah.
But things were explained to me, I'm sure. But I don't think I wanted to know what it meant either.
I understand that.
And he just kept, similar to you and Laura, he just kept doing things that made me feel like he was invincible.
Yeah.
And I know I've spoken to you about this before, and you've heard me get emotional about this before, but there are moments that I remember so clearly in his diagnosis and after in his treatment. It was one particular time just before his birthday that Liam was really, really ill. He was really ill. He was due to start treatment and couldn't or didn't want to, or again, there's so much that's a blur and so much that is so pinpoint clear. Yeah. But he was really ill, and it was snowing, and I was at home being looked after, and Liam was coming back from the hospital. He was in a taxi with, I think he was with my mum, maybe he was with my mum and dad, but he was in a taxi, and it was snowing so bad that all of these roads are closed. And there's a taxi driver who I have no idea who this taxi driver is, so legend whoever they are, who just was like, no, I'm getting you home, playing through the snow. And Liam arrived at our family home, and it was seeing him get out of that taxi with his oxygen mask on, after I'd just been making a snow angel with my mates. Seeing him get out of that taxi, I was like, Liam's not well. He really isn't well. And he hadn't been well for a number of years before, but it hit me there. And I don't know if I started to imagine a life without Liam, but I think maybe in that specific exact moment I thought, cool, maybe I won't always have a brother. And he was upstairs, and I seem to recall telling me he raised millions for charity, hundreds of thousands, and was responsible for helping to raise millions. And as an award from our local newspaper, he got given a petrol go-kart, which is like the best award you can ever get. And he said to me, you can have my petrol go-kart if I die. And I was like,
I mean...
Yeah, but silver linings, but I'm not sure that was. I was like, oh my gosh. It had Liam on the front as well. Like, I'd have to get Callum. No, I didn't even think about any of those, but it just hit me.
Yeah. Makes it real, that, I'm sure.
Liam was really, really ill, and then he got better. He got better, and things felt a bit normal again until in that year, in June, he went into a coma, and he was at a coma at home. I'm remembering things in my head that I can't actually say out loud.
Yeah.
This is the weird thing with grief, isn't it? That maybe we just can't speak it. We're telling everyone to speak about how they feel.
Know, but only within reason.
There's a block with me actually saying some of the words of some of my memories, but I remember, and I've only recently remembered this, all these years back, these things just come back into my mind. But I remember saying a few words to him, and then I think I got back from school, and then he was in a coma. And it was that day a teacher actually said, how's Liam doing? And the first time I'd ever been asked how Liam was doing, and I wanted to cry. And I knew that it probably wasn't very good. And just before that moment, we had our Last Supper. God, he wasn't Jesus, but like we had our Last Supper. We had our last dinner out. I didn't know it would be at Pizza Express, a place that will always hold a great memories of me. We were at Pizza Express in Newmarket, and Mum was saying about how she wanted to get a tattoo, And Liam said, he was a bit ill, but he was still
there.
with it.
Yeah.
Liam said, maybe you should get a little bird on your, there, I'm just pointing just above my nipple here. And Mum was like, what? And she's like, you just paint it blue and it's a blue tit. And I was like, this is good humour from a 14-year-old. And I didn't really get it, but I kind of got it, and that was funny. So maybe I need a little blue tit here.
I think you should,
Needless to say, Mum didn't actually ever get a blue tit tattooed.
Well, I think you need to get it.
But then I had those final words with him. I didn't know would be his final word, our final words, and he was he was confused. You don't want. Yeah. He was a bit confused, but there were those final words. And then about a week or so later, the 30th of June 2009, I go into this spiel. We've actually just been filming with some news guys, and I started going into the spiel. So I've got to get out the spiel.
We've both got a spiel.
It's my comfort blanket.
Yeah,
I can say this much about Liam without breaking into tears. Yeah. But the 30th of June 2009, Liam died, and I do remember, this is my spiel, and I'm going to get out of it in a second, but the spiel is important.
Spiel away.
I do remember absolutely everything about that moment. Again, it's also blurry but so vivid at the same time. The moment, the community nurses who I still know to this day, who looked across the room as we sat eating lunch. I was with my mum, my dad, my aunt, and they looked across. They didn't even need to say anything, and we kind of just got up and quickly, and I went up those stairs, and I kissed my brother goodbye, and I just remember kissing him goodbye because there was this feeling I had. Again, things that were comfortable and not comfortable saying, but there was a specific thing that happened that made me feel like Liam was now with me. I had to live his life, that my brother would no longer be there. And at that moment, I didn't think, he's not going to be there for my wedding. My kids aren't going to have an uncle. I'm not going to see him grow up to be the amazing, caring man and dad that he would have been. I didn't think that in the moment, but I knew that my best friend was then not there with me. And that was so tough. And for years, I wouldn't even be able to think about the moment my brother died. For years, I couldn't think about the moment my brother died. But then as time has gone on, I can address it more. The reason why I'm crying now is just saying things I don't always say. And they're just minor tweaks, but it brings me back into that moment. But now these memories and these moments of that last day with Liam, that last moment with Liam in person, because I still think he's here now,
of course.
Within me in some capacity. Which that sounds odd, doesn't it?
No,
my dead
I like
brother's
that.
Inside me.
Maybe when you put it like that.
but I those moments I would never speak about, but they would form the basis of my nightmares. Yeah. They would be the things that kept me up at night worrying. They would be the awful moments I just wanted to be out of my head, but I just could not get out of my head. But now, they're almost really precious to me. Yeah. That goodbye with Liam was special. I was with him. I had this amazing feeling of something transcending me, and I'm not spiritual in that capacity. I'm spiritual, but not in that way. And I had that, and I look back and I actually get some comfort in those last moments with my brother. And and ever since then, my life's just been defined by being a dead sibling. And here we are, just talking about it.
What? Because that's so powerful, the kind of... I mean, that's a lot of responsibility, though. You know, the idea that you almost had to live for him. Did that not feel like a lot? I
guess it is a lot of responsibility, but I never felt like I had to live for him. Okay. Even though I say that, I actually wanted to live for him. Yeah. I wanted to live for my brother. And one of these things that I don't think we speak about enough when we're grieving is that grief can actually be really wonderful. Yeah. It feels awful to say that. Yeah. But my gosh, am I a productive griever. when I feel this pain coming in and when I feel really upset and sad, it just drives me to do something.
Absolutely.
Sometimes that's selfishly. And being selfish is actually sometimes a brilliant thing, especially when you're grieving. Sometimes that's selfishly. I want to live my life to the best I can. I want to do something that I remember. I don't want to just be bored. But a lot of the times that's embodying all of Liam's brilliant personalities. I'm forgetting the bad ones. But embodying all of his brilliant personalities and then just bringing those into my everyday life. And like, it's tough. So many days are tough. Yeah. Even now, years on, I would say there are fewer really tough days than there were at the beginning, but then just something overwhelms you. But I know he's there, and I feel that drive to live his life as well as mine has just really helped me.
Yeah.
And when we're grieving, we should recognise that sometimes grief can bring really positive things. It takes a while, like feeling guilty about having fun, but actually, like, Liam's death has taught me to be more compassionate.
Yeah.
Liam's death taught me to be more caring. Liam's death has taught me that this world is unbelievably brilliant and amazing, and we can find joy in the smallest of things. Liam's death has actually taught me to live.
Yeah.
And I think
incredible.
grief can do that sometimes.
Yeah.
But then sometimes it can't, and you feel.
But it also might take you a while to get to that point. But I think that's so, especially for me, I found that so inspiring, because that, you know, it almost makes it feel like if it's not okay right now, down the road it might be, just because it's rubbish now.
Exactly, and things can get better, but
course.
also I'm painting this picture of roses and like it's absolutely wonderful and everything's great. It's not. It definitely isn't.
I think that goes without saying, doesn't it? Yeah.
I don't think it can be. But also I've been fortunate enough to have amazing support around me in terms of family and friends. For a long time it felt really awful, and whilst they were all there for me, I just didn't want to speak about it. Yeah. But I do feel really fortunate just to be able to say some of these things.
Yeah.
And not everyone will have that experience. Actually, a lot of people won't have that experience at all.
No.
So whilst there have been these positives, that a lot of people hearing this will probably not resonate at all with that.
Maybe not right now.
But I think talking for me has really helped.
Good.
And writing things down and trying to live Liam's life a bit. It helped that, like, I absolutely adore Liam, and I saw so many positive characteristics in him, but trying to live his life for him, all of those things have helped with my grief process, I would say.
Yeah. I just wanted to ask, obviously because you were so young, what, you know, after you lost Liam, and, you know, we talked a little bit about my sister's funeral, but what kind of, do you remember very much of sort of straight after? Like, how was that for you? Was it kind of like a blur, or like, what did you do?
Yeah, I almost feel like every time I'm asked that question, which isn't often, but like I know we've chatted a lot about this. I feel like I answer a different version every time.
Okay.
So maybe I'm just like chatting shit and just not like, maybe
that's okay too.
Maybe I'm making it all up. But there were moments that blur and then that clarity. There were moments that were really blurred, like the day Liam died. This is one of the clear moments. The day Liam died, I remember going outside to play. I was just playing outside with my mates, and they were being amazing. They were really supportive
Did they all know
of me.
then,
They all knew.
Yeah.
They all knew Liam. Like, my mates had friends that were his age, and we would all play together around the cul-de-sac. And I actually remember Harry, my childhood friend. He was like, there's like an ant or an insect, and he was like about to kill the insect in like just a way that kids do. And I was like, oh, don't do that. And he was like, I'm so sorry, I won't do that. I'm so sorry. And I was like, oh, wow, I've got the power.
You got power now.
But I remember those things, and actually that going outside to play is something that I felt guilty with when I grew up. And, you know, some people celebrate their lives with a brother or sister very quickly, go out for a pint, or they go out for a run, or they just have a little laugh, or they try and watch something to take their minds off things. And I felt guilt for my moment of doing that, of playing outside as a kid. But actually, like, that's the best way to grieve. There's something children do. A big charity called Child Bereavement UK, they call it puddle jumping. Or and the idea is that kids often jump into the puddle and they're really sad. It's like their moment of grief. They're in the puddle of grief. So they're really sad. They can be showing lots of behaviours. And then just 1 minute next, they jump out and they're happy and everything's fine.
Yeah.
And then they jump back into that puddle. And that's actually I'm probably explaining that terribly.
Yeah, no,
but it's a really great way to grieve. And adults, we often place ourselves in that pit of despair, in that puddle. We just sit there thinking it's not okay to come out of this puddle now because it's only been a week or a month or a year. But actually, we should look at the way children grieve sometimes. Not all children, but lots of children grieve. And we should be inspired by their ability for it to throw everything up in the air, to have those sad moments, but also to, when we feel ready to jump out that puddle, just jump out.
Yeah, doesn't mean you
and
can't jump back
like I
in.
did, play around.
Yeah.
And then the next day, I felt sad. And then the next day, I felt okay. And they're my memories of after Liam's death. But Liam's funeral is really like prominent to me as well. I really struggled at Liam's funeral, but having family there with me, a number of my family have experienced sibling bereavement in terms of my one of my cousins and one of my uncles, and just knowing that they kind of got what I was going through it did definitely help a little bit. But Liam's funeral was kind of
what did you do?
Well, it was a very kind of. Actually, it wasn't stereotypical at all. I was about to say it's stereotypical. It was only stereotypical because it took place in a church. But there were hundreds of people. There was even like a big screen up next door so people could watch. It's just like, the worst big sporting event of the year was Liam's funeral. But lots of people were there. And lots of people were celebrating his life, wearing bright coloured clothing.
Oh, wow.
He had a police escort. They closed off the roads. It was in Newmarket, and they closed off all the roads where Newmarket's famous for races, and there was a big race on that day, horse race on that day, and we must have annoyed so many race guys because for a good 30 minutes, all the roads, main roads into Newmarket were like kind of closed off as this cortege was going really slow. And we then went around Soham, and we went past his school, and there was like a ovation, and so standing ovation, like people clapping, and you just saw the love that people had for my brother. And that's so lovely to look back on, because that's the love that I have for him to this day. And I know there's a lot of people that still have that love for him.
So after losing Liam, what kind of legacy did you want to create for him and kind of continue within his work that he was so passionate and so incredible with the amount that he raised and the amount that he did? What did you take from that, and what did you want to carry on?
Well, for me, I kind of jumped into fundraising. I think actually quite a lot of people that experience bereavement want to do something in memory of that person, whether it's doing a race for life, whether jumping out of a plane, or some people create small charities or fundraise for a cause that really means something to that meant something to that person, because it's like you're kind of helping someone in their situation out. So I just wanted to fundraise because it actually got my head away from these feelings of grief. It's what Liam did. It's what I was used to. And I just wanted to go on and do these things. And I, when I was 12, no, I would have been 13, of course. It was about not long after Liam died at all, not long at all. I got together. It sounds a bit weird now I say this. No one was dodgy. Everyone was brilliant. But got together a group of people on Twitter, and then we did a Land's End to John O'Groats relay cycle race, which was amazing.
That's incredible.
I probably did 200 miles all in, which
you ride
isn't that much over a week, but it was relay. But everyone was great, and that gave me this outlet. Yes, I was speaking about Liam in a way, but not really speaking about him much. But it was within my comfort zone. And then I just wanted to do more and more different things. And when I got to 18, I was like, I'm not ready to go to university yet. And when Liam died, I made him 2 promises. And the first promise was to live a great life. And the second promise was to try and help other people in some way. I wanted to do both of those things in one go. And I had seen this guy who had done the cycle around the world. It's like, I want to do that. So I was 18, I pushed off uni for a year and then hopped on a bicycle, and then for 9 months cycled thousands and thousands of miles, not quite 18,000, but around that figure, around the world, just trying to like live Liam's life, seeing all this world, but also trying to fundraise as well. So
I never knew
that was. Did you not?
No.
There you go. There you
That's
go.
incredible.
So I did this big old cycle ride, and it was during that cycle that I really had a lot of time. Like at that point, I spent like 5% of my life on a saddle, essentially, because I spent nearly a year doing it. And I was cycling along. It's longer than 9 months, I just said. Anyway, but I was cycling along and I had time to myself to think about things and to think about legacy and to think about all those kind of things with Liam. And for me, actually, it then became less about like specific fundraising and it more became about just trying to live my life to the best I possibly could do. And that turned out that the way to try and live my life slightly better was trying to help younger Callum with access to like bereavement support through Sibling Support, which is a bereavement charity at the moment for young people. I think down the line it will end up being for adult siblings as well, but to support siblings in some capacity. But like to have a legacy and to remember our loved ones, our brothers, our sisters, our parents, our children, our grandchildren, whoever it may be that we've lost, our friends, our cousins, whatever. I don't think you have to go off and do a stupid cycle around the world or a charity, but like actually some of the most meaningful things I've done are where it's just me and Liam. Like it's me and him in terms of it's my thoughts and I'm thinking about him, or I'm listening to a little song that reminds me of him, or he's just with me there. Just those simple things that actually is kind of Liam's legacy living on in my way. It's not necessarily all the big things, which his name has been attached to lots of different things, but for me it's those small moments where I feel really close to him.
I understand that. Sometimes that's in just watching a film they liked, or you know, just kind of feeling them there. I like
never
that.
even liked half the films he liked, though.
What sort of films did he like?
Just kind of, he actually liked kind of a lot. I don't know about film, but like TV shows and stuff.
Well, The Simpsons.
Like, yeah, Simpsons.
Classic. Laura loved
fair.
The Simpsons.
But he definitely, we probably had like a different taste in movies and TV stuff and things like that. But your point still stands, Gracie.
Anything like that. No need to pick it apart, Callum.
God, I was picking that apart,
Yeah,
wasn't
you
I?
were.
So actually, I wouldn't necessarily watch the same
watch his
film as he
films.
would. But yeah, and I'm sure you have that with Laura as well sometimes, don't you?
Definitely, lots of little things. Big Harry Potter fans, like even just things like watching a film and going, "God, she'd love this," and you know, it's nothing she's ever seen or heard of or anything, but just kind of feeling her in going to the cinema and watch. It all seems to be films for me, but watching something and going, "Oh, she'd love this," and we always say that in my family, and I think that's really nice. I just wanted to ask about the work that you do within Sibling Support, because that's such an incredible thing that you guys do, and I've been lucky enough to be sort of, you know, kind of watching what you guys have done since I've known you, and it is absolutely incredible the work that you guys do, not just for kind of people like myself, but for young children who don't even have the means to express themselves, and you guys help that and almost kind of give them a way to keep going.
Yeah, well, I don't want to greatly inflate our role.
But
in the work in you know the work of amazing organisations, and actually the work of amazing people, be that family members, be that teachers, be that just you know I hope that many of us have had experiences with people close to us that they're just good for us around grief, and I knew the good people many years after because I could reflect on what they did for me, or have even helped me like kind of going forwards. So I think it's the people around people that can make such a difference with grief, but I think Sibling Support is making like a small difference.
Absolutely.
And we now have like an amazing team of people, which is absolutely wild. A really small team, a couple of people and some brilliant trustees and volunteers that are doing so much great work around supporting bereaved siblings. But, you know, that only started because of Liam. And even though it's technically got nothing to do with Liam, for me, that brings me comfort that, you know, Liam's living on in that way. But hopefully on this podcast, people will hear the stories of so many other people, and they might not resonate at all with what either of us have said, but they might resonate with something
bits of
someone
it,
else
or-
has said.
Yeah.
And I think we just want to hear everyone's thoughts. If there's
Absolutely.
any topics, if there's any people they want to hear from. And how can they do that, Gracie?
We are on the socials
Oh,
at the Dead Sibling Society.
are we on the TikToks?
We will be on the TikToks. We will be on the TikToks. We are currently on the Instagram.
Okay.
And anyone is more than welcome to drop us a message, or even if it's not, kind of a story or anything like that, but just let us know if you've listened to it and, what you might take from it.
So on this podcast, we have lots of different guests, aren't we? And the next episodes aren't going to be really totally to do with us.
No,
They're about some really interesting people.
absolutely. We've got some amazing people that we're going to speak to and hear not just kind of their grief and their experience with grief, but sort of their advice, and just hopefully have a bit of a laugh as well, and kind of talk about some of the funny things that people might experience, like we will do in future episodes, but haven't done quite as much in these first few episodes.
We've been quite sad,
They won't be as
haven't we?
heavy, I promise.
Really.
But thank you so much for telling us your story and Liam's story, and you are absolutely doing him proud in everything that you do, Callum.
Thank